I remember just sitting with my mom, my hands were kind of shaking, I'm sweating in places I didn't know I could sweat, y'all. So I'm like sweating, it's getting hot. And she was like, yeah, you can't tell your dad though, for a while. And I was like,
you got vibes, vibes on vibes, pull up in the whip, come slide, peace on high, brand new for my ride, yeah, the best outside, 3 V's right outside, yeah, you see me now,
hey guys, it's your girl Ari. In today's video, we will be doing a story time of my coming out stories. Hi guys, my name is Ari Dinero. If you're new to this channel, welcome. My channel consists of living abroad, girl chats, and self-care. So if you guys like that type of content, please subscribe. And without further ado, okay, boom. Let's get started with this one. I am a second generation Dominican American. So my parents were born and raised in the Dominican Republic and came to New York around the 80s, 90s. And they had me in 99, and then they had my younger sister in 2001. My parents are both Catholic, so I grew up in a fairly conservative Catholic home. With that being said, I guess you guys kind of could see where the direction of this story time is going. Growing up, my mom instilled in me at a very young age to find like a good man, to find a good husband, to be this Catholic woman that she wants me to be. I grew up fairly conservative, so I grew up with seeing a lot of ideas around what a traditional housewife is supposed to be, how to clean up and be the woman of the house, like very much so. That's what I grew up like seeing. In conjunction to these traditional conservative roles for women, I also grew up around a lot of homophobia and a lot of transphobia. My parents couldn't fathom having a daughter who was gay. Just straight up. Fathom such an idea. It would have brought them great disgrace, for sure. So growing up, when I was coming of age, I started to notice that I was attracted to women. My first crush in kindergarten, guys, was a girl named Delilah, okay? I knew I was borderline going that way at the age of fucking 5. Like, I knew I was attracted to women. Could you not, I had this crush on Delilah, but like I'm a kid, so like, you know, we're not thinking much of it. And we used to go around saying that we're each other's girlfriends. So I knew it started from then. And then as I got older, I was a bit ashamed of my feelings towards women, so I tried to suppress them a lot until about high school. I had a couple of crushes, I want to say, in middle school who were women, but like I was like, no, maybe I just admire them. I'm confusing my admiration for infatuation. And I'm just like finding ways to dismiss my feelings towards other women because I had some internalized homophobia from my upbringings. My parents weren't overtly homophobic. It was one of those things for them where it was like, being gay is cool, I don't want my kids being gay. So it was very much so like, yeah, like I respect all people, but my kids cannot partake in such festivities. And growing up with that guilt kind of, so I'm gripping and grappling between my attraction towards women, but also trying to live up to be this perfect Catholic daughter for my parents. So I'm just sitting here, my gay ass, in denial for a very long time. My internalized homophobia, I had to take the time to actually sit and heal from because I was messing with a lot of girls who were either A, in the closet, B, bi-curious, or C, only found me attractive and will be gay for me. So these girls wanted me to like quote unquote turn them out, and those were the type of women I was attracting because the fact that I didn't heal from a lot of my internalized homophobia. Can't proudly be with a woman if internally I'm still feeling guilt about it. It's one of those things where internalized homophobia is that we, depending on what degree we are in terms of our healing, we attract partners who aren't unapologetically themselves. I was not attracting a person who was unapologetically queer, to be honest with you, until I want to say recently. So I know that healing from my internalized homophobia, it took some time, and I'm still healing from it too. As I grew up in childhood, you have to unlearn a lot of nasty habits and a lot of nasty attitudes that your parents low-key instill in you. Although I want to say I'm at a better place, I don't think I'm fully healed from it yet, and that's fine. So I had my crush in kindergarten. Her name was Delilah. That was my little girlfriend. And then towards middle school, I started getting a crush on my girl best friend. We're gonna call her Milani. So I started getting a crush on my girl best friend Milani, and Milani had a crush on me too. But Milani was also messing with this other girl. So this is like middle school, guys. I want to say this is about 7th grade when I started to understand that like, yo, like this might not be admiration. Like, I real life have feelings for other women. Milani was playing with me, so she had a crush on me, but she was back and forth with her on and off girlfriend. We're gonna call her Jade. So Milani and Jade, they were in a very toxic dynamic because Jade was closeted, and Milani too was closeted, but Jade was closeted to a point where like her parents would check her phone every night. So Milani and Jade, their form of communication was primarily through phone calls. Although Milani, she did have some feelings for me and she did like me, she was still heavily in love with Jade. So like that was its own thing. My first unrequited love kind of situation was in 7th grade. After that situation, I was like, yeah, no, me and women are a no. This was stupid, So like the situation with Milani kind of had me jaded. So from 7th grade till I want to say sophomore year of high school, so 10th grade, I'm just like, okay, me and women, that was a stupid situation. This could never happen. I'm just gonna go mess with these dudes. And then 10th grade, I met this girl who was in a class younger than me, and I was feeling her. We're gonna call her Millie. Cool. So Millie was very athletic. I was feeling them heavy, and I had a crush on Millie. To this day, Millie and I were so cool, but looking back at it now, I don't know if Millie was feeling me back. I think they were feeling me in a way as in like we're cool, because like Millie and I, we got really close, but I don't think they saw me in that light. And later on, when like I seen them, because we ended up working at the same supermarket one summer, it was always good vibes. Like, it's always good talking to Millie. So I had this big crush on Millie. Cool. Millie and Millie, we talk every day. We're seeing each other in school. I'm going to their games, blah, blah, blah. But Millie was in another relationship with this girl. We're going to call her Leon. So Leon and Millie, they were together, very on and off. So one minute they'll be cool, the next minute they won't be. And then when they're not cool, Millie's really with me. And it was just like a lot going on, y'all. Like, looking back at it, I was like, damn, like I was entertaining a lot of girls, because we're girls at this time of our life. So I was entertaining like a lot of girls who were either in relationships or couldn't fully commit to me. And see, that's where that internalized homophobia comes in, because I knew if it came down to it, I couldn't fully be with a woman until I healed from my internalized homophobia. Of course, I'm gonna attract the ones in the closet, the ones with girlfriends, the ones who couldn't give me the love and affection that I deserved, because again, I was kind of in the closet my damn self. Towards the end of sophomore year, I started getting really cool with this girl. We're gonna call her, because she watches my YouTube, this girl, so I gotta chill with the names. I got really cool with this girl. We're gonna call her Rocky. So Rocky and I, we start off as friends, but then I started noticing that Rocky was like flirting with me, and then guys, I've been a flirt since birth, okay? I'm flirting with Rocky, Rocky's flirting with me. I'm still talking to Millie, but Millie and I, there's some distance, because I think we finally had a conversation and Millie told me straight up, like, I want to be with old girl. And I was like, you know what? With Leon. So Millie and Leon, they could be their own thing. And I took that rejection. I was like, okay. And you know, I moved on. Because Rocky, if you're watching this, hi mama, how are you? Rocky and I are starting to get close, but Rocky's in the closet. See, y'all, it's just a lot of situations with that. So Rocky's in the closet. I'm still somewhat in the closet, but like my parents, they were never strict. So even though I did grow up with a fairly conservative, strict parents, they weren't strict in a sense where they were not checking my phone. Like, one thing my parents did give me the autonomy over was having my own phone, as well as like not having my phone checked. My mom confiscated my phone, I want to say maybe like once in high school, but she confiscated for like 5 hours and then gave it right back. Like, my mom saw me as the more responsible child, I want to say. So with being the most responsible child, my parents were like kind of hands off for the most part what I did. Like, yeah, I did act up, and yeah, I did have my rebellious stage. Like, my dad tried to be the punisher, but my mom, she's like, she gonna do whatever she wants. So Rocky and I, we started getting close, and then we caught feelings for each other. I'm gonna fast forward this because this is kind of funny. So Rocky and I, after a couple months of like hanging out after school, being in each other's faces, texting, going, I went to Rocky's games too, and ironically, Millie and Rocky were on the same team, but we're not gonna talk about it. We're not gonna talk about it. So Rocky and I ended up getting in a relationship, and 3 to 4 months in our relationship, we ended up breaking up because Rocky was cheating on me with their ex at the time. I saw the messages that Rocky and their ex, they were still texting while we were together, and that pissed me off, so I broke up with them. Me and Rocky, we spoke about it a couple years after, and things are cool. Like, I'm cool with Rocky, but that was like a time. After my relationship with Rocky, sorry y'all, I had to give y'all the full context, I finally came out to my mom. My mom started noticing that when Rocky would come over to my house after school that we were a little flirty. Like, the energy wasn't giving friends at first. So my mom, she was like, oh, that's just your good friend. So like Rocky met my mom, and like my mom was like convinced that we were friends until towards the end of the relationship, because Rocky and I would get into arguments in my room sometimes. My mom, for the most part, she wasn't hearing, so like the living room, my room and the living room, there was some distance, and when I was yelling at old girl, the door was closed, so I don't think my mom fully heard everything. But I remember this one argument I had with her, and my mom was like eavesdropping, and she asked me about it. Oh, let me set the scene. This is end of sophomore year. I'm about 16, 17 years old, fairly awkward, very nerdy. Even though we had broke up, Rocky's still trying to come see me. I'm still seeing Rocky. Like, we were a little toxic. There was a period of time where we were a little toxic. We weren't together, but we were acting like we were together, and it was just like a lot of chaos going on. When I say that Rocky had cheated on me, I meant that Rocky emotionally cheated on me. So physically, she did not cheat on me. So what ended up happening was that, like, I had saw the messages and they were still flirting with each other. I take emotional cheating and physical cheating, they're the same caliber for me. In terms of like, did they meet up? Did they hang out? Like, no, like their ex wanted to meet up with Rocky and was like trying to insinuate plans with Rocky, but Rocky was still 10 toes about me. Or in this case, let's say 5 toes, because if you're flirting with your ex and you're giving them hope that y'all will rekindle one day, that's cheating. I don't care. Rocky was canceled. But me being a little toxic, when Rocky was still trying to come over and stuff, we were still very much so arguing. So it'll be like, we're hanging out, it'll be cool, I'll bring up that she cheated, we'll start arguing. And it'll be like the cycle. Every other like week, well, she'll come over, we'll be cool, and things seem like they're normal, and I will start an argument because I'm still upset. We talked about this later on too. I wish Rocky would have gave me like some time and space to really like process that situation, because you emotionally cheated, but you still come into my house acting like everything's cool. It was one of the nights I got in this really big argument with Rocky. I'm talking about like Rocky like stormed out the house, like she was mad. And usually when she storms out the house at the time, I would literally follow her and we would come and we would talk, we would make up, and it's just a little toxic cycle. This time I was like, yeah, you could go, bye. So she left. My mom had heard a bit of the argument. So coming to the nighttime, I'm just like, I can't hide this anymore. So I sat my mom down and I was like, Ma, like Rocky was my girlfriend. I'm pansexual. My mom, how she took it at first, I think she was just like, kind of already knowing, because the fact of A, how frequent Rocky was coming to the house, and also B, she would hear bits of our arguments, and friends don't argue. She would ask me like, oh, like what you guys were doing, and I would lie to her and be like, oh, we're practicing for the debate team, because we're both on the debate team. Again, I wanted to be this perfect Catholic daughter to my mom, but yo, I was lying out my ass, I'm not gonna lie, saying that we were just having a heated debate for the debate team, knowing damn well we're arguing about Rocky cheating on me and me feeling very insecure. I told my mom, I was like, yeah, no, Rocky's been my girlfriend. Those debates, I didn't go into detail about the debates. Like, I didn't tell her, oh yeah, we're not on the debate team. I kept that secret for a little longer. I was like, sometimes we would argue and sometimes we would be practicing for the debate team. And she was just like, oh, like I knew it because one time you guys were talking about this girl and it just seemed like you guys were debating about something. One thing about these Dominican moms, they nosy as hell. My mom, she will be nosy. For the most part, I want to say when we first started arguing, my mom wasn't really in, like, putting her ear in it, because two, my mom, she would come home late from work. So what I would do is I don't want to say I planned out the arguments, but I'm like, yo, if we gonna argue, I got the free crib. We can argue from this time to this time and talk. After that, cut it short. Sometimes the arguments will go over time, and my mom, progressively was like, yeah, something's wrong. Her and my mom were fairly cool at the time, and to this day, my mom still views Rocky highly. I'm sitting down, I told my mom what it was, and at first I'm like, yo, she's gonna call me una maricón. So that means someone who's gay. That's like the equivalent of the F gay word. I'm not gonna say it, but trigger warning, guys. It's a homophobic term that Hispanics use to degrade their gay children. I thought she was gonna be like, I don't want nothing to do with you. Like, I was expecting the worst, to be honest. I was scared. I remember just sitting with my mom, my hands were kind of shaking, I'm sweating in places I didn't know I could sweat, y'all. So I'm like sweating, it's getting hot. I can't lie, like this last argument, she literally saw Rocky storm out the house. There's no hiding this shit. I told my mom, I was like, yo, like I'm pansexual, ma, like I like girls. And she was just like a bit quiet for a second, and she's just like, okay. And I was like, what do you mean okay? Like, are you mad at me? She's like, no, like, I could never not love you. I wish you would have said something sooner. And I was like, Ma, but like, this household is very homophobic. And she was like, yeah, you can't tell your dad though, for a while. And I was like, you're my daughter, I love you, it is what it is. And it was kind of a sigh of relief for me, because I was like, okay, finally I can, at least someone in the house knows my identity, because like my siblings, they knew I was gay. My siblings knew I was gay. But having my parent not only acknowledge it, but also like accept it for what it is, it was a relief. I didn't come out to my dad until recently, to be honest. Like, I didn't tell him I was queer until 2022. He met my previous girlfriend before, and they kicked it. They like each other, so they kicked it. And my dad, when I did come out to him, I was a little scared. I'm not gonna lie. Because listen, I'm my dad's firstborn. So coming out, I was like, yo, this could go either two ways. I could either be fucked and disowned, or he'll still love me because I'm his princess. He still loved me because I'm his princess, thank goodness. But damn, I was sweating too. After I came out to my mom, we hugged afterwards, and yeah, she knows. For those who are a bit in the closet right now, I would offer a couple of pieces of advice. So like, A, don't feel forced to come out. When it's your time to come out, you'll come out. B, understand the safety of the situation. Not all parents are as open or accepting. I have friends who came out and got kicked out their house. So if it's a safety thing, y'all, just remind yourself that it's temporary. You won't always have to keep your identity in the closet, but if this is your only home and this is the only option you got and this is what you have to do to survive, so be it. That doesn't mean that you're a traitor. That doesn't mean that you're anti-gay. It just means that you understand the severity of the situation and this is survival. And if that means hiding your identity for a little bit, so be it. I hope for those who are in that predicament that one day you do gain the independence to live your truth and not be confined to your living circumstances. But again, coming out is a privilege. I will acknowledge that too. There have been people that I've seen like on the news who have been killed for coming out, and gratefully my parents, they're not on that type of timing. And although my mother prefers me to be with another man, in the instance that I get married to a woman or I am with a woman, she's not gonna cause me any harm, and she's also not gonna fully disown me. If you're in a predicament right now where you are in a situation that you can't come out, it's okay, your time will come. For those who can, when you do come out, just do it when you're fully ready. Don't be forced to come out. Don't let your friends out you. Don't let anyone out you. That is your truth. That is your sacred part of your identity. Do it when you're ready. I advise you to do it in a place where you're comfortable. So I came out in my living room. I love my living room in my apartment when I used to live in Brooklyn. Don't do it in public. Just do it somewhere you feel safe. And yeah, just sit down, set the vibe. My mom had a couple of questions, like what pansexuality was, and like what makes it different from bisexuality, and like where do I see myself in terms of sexuality? Like, is this gonna be something forever? Like, she asked a lot of questions. Some made me uncomfortable, but going into it with like an open mind really allowed me to not only live in my truth, but also give her the clarity that she wanted. But yeah, guys, coming out was hard. Coming out was like one of the hardest things I have ever had to do. I don't regret it. I am free. I am openly queer and happy, guys. And yeah, like I wouldn't sit here and compromise my identity for no one. I am very proud of being queer and non-binary. Like that's my identity. I am me. That marks the end of the story time. I wanted to do a coming out story because as we're approaching June, it is Pride Month. So I'm gonna drop this the weekend of Pride so you guys could see this. But if you guys like more queer, gay story times, or you guys like my dating story times, please include it in the comments below. And until the next video, guys, thank you for watching. Stay happy, stay gay, and stay sexy, okay? But until the next video, guys.